2011's Captain America Super Soldier may have been a blatant Arkham clone, but at least it was a good clone. It had some iffy design choices, but the core gameplay was solid and it was much better than the mediocrity that had come before it. As expected, Super Soldier released on multiple platforms, including the Xbox 360, PS3, Wii, DS, and 3DS. Next Level Games handled the HD version, and different studios handled the other ones. While the HD game got tons of press coverage, the other ones not so much. Unless you were a devoted Nintendo Power reader like I was, you probably weren't aware the game was released on Wii, let alone the DS. I mentioned in my last video that because I didn't have an Xbox 360, I missed out on Super Soldier when it came out. I had a Wii, but instead of using my lawnmower money to buy Captain America, I used it to pre-order Conduit 2. After years of both games eluding me, I bought them both earlier this year. I already gave my 2 cents on the HD Captain America, so it's time to see if the Wii Captain America was worth the wait, or if I was better off without it.
Fall back, soldier. I'll take it from here.
The story isn't too different from its HD counterpart. It's set during the first Avenger and follows Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, as he infiltrates a Hydra-occupied castle to stop their weapons research. During this mission, his fellow bandit brothers, the Invaders, are shot down and captured, so he sets out to save them while putting Hydra in its place.
Since when does the enemy have weapons like these?
They don't. Yet.
This is a different enemy.
As I said, the plot is relatively unchanged. There's some extra dialogue and moments, but nothing drastically different. What is different is the tone. Super Soldier on 360 and PS3 is like an extension of the movie, while Super Soldier on Wii feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. Similar to Ghostbusters, the game uses a cartoony art style, complete with exaggerated character designs and other stylish touches. Captain America looks roided out, and soldiers wield comically large Thompsons. It's goofy as hell, but I dig it.
Now I asked you a question.
Your friend is about to make the ultimate sacrifice for the glory of Hydra. I'll grant you the same honor.
At first glance, this is the same game but running in 480p. You punch and shield throw your way through Hydra's forces as a superhero who's as American as apple pie. But there's a lot of things this game does differently on the Wii. In some ways it's better, and in some ways it's worse.
Your emotion is unseemly. A Hydra captain would never grow attached to his underlings.
Captain America's Wii adventure is more of a brawler than the Arkham clone that was Next Level's iteration. The controls are simple but intuitive. You press the B button to attack, Z to counter, and tap C to throw the shield. Holding C activates focus mode, which slows down time and lets you throw cap shield at your target of choice. The game keeps motion controls to a minimum. You can aim at the screen anytime when throwing the shield, and during boss fights, you'll perform the occasional QTE by waggling the controls. High Voltage Software knew what the Wii was capable of due to their previous work on games like the Conduit. In the hands of the wrong developer, the combat could have been a waggle fest, but I'm glad they went with this approach. Cap's brawling is much more exaggerated than it is on the 360. Cap assaults Hydra troops with a flurry of punches and uppercuts, complete with slow-mo finishers. Like the HD game, you'll fight several different types of Hydra. You've got your standard goons, goons armed with MP40s or energy rifles, goons armed with energy rods, assassins, hulking brutes who can disarm Cap, and robots. Each enemy has a different weakness. Enemies with energy rods need to be countered before you attack, while assassins need to be stunned with the shield. While Cap's moveset isn't that deep, he controls smoothly. This version doesn't suffer from the frame rate issues that plagued the HD version, and I was able to bounce between foes effortlessly.
Or will be crushed beneath the boot of Hydra!
As intimidating as Hydra looks, they're not challenging. The game is a breeze on easy or normal. Playing on hard is the way to go, but even that's not too difficult because of the lackluster AI. Enemies flip-flop between kicking your ass to kicking no one's ass. It's easy to exploit their ineptitude by giving them the runaround, which is the last thing you'd expect Captain America to do.
Every moment you elude us is an hour added to the torture you'll suffer before you die. Surrender now, and I will be merciful.
The Wii game is a much more linear affair. Instead of navigating a mixture of open and linear environments, you move from level to level, with very little backtracking. I actually prefer this approach because it doesn't waste as much time. The HD version tried copying Arkham Asylum's mixture of linear and sandbox gameplay, but it fell short because there wasn't much to do in the sandbox. The Wii version's linear approach works since you're always on the move. Each level has an assortment of side tasks to complete, including saving soldiers, defusing bombs, and fighting treasure. My personal favorite is the Zola challenges. These see Captain America complete some sort of feat within a time limit, with the reward being extra experience. While it's essentially a riff on Arkham's Riddler challenges, they're worth doing because of the experience you earn. Platforming functions the same. Instead of tapping the A button at the right time, you simply tap it to leap around or use the control stick to ninja run across beams.
It's over, Skull. Your henchmen are defeated, your experiment has failed. It's only a matter of time before Allied forces take the whole castle.
Then I will leave nothing to take. Ready the missiles!
I think the thing that surprised me most was how much better puzzle solving is. The HD version's puzzles consisted of matching up letters or numbers to open a door. It sucked. Puzzle solving is more involved in this version. You may have to deflect a laser at the right angle to activate a button, or use Cap Shield to activate multiple switches in the right order. Some of these puzzles were surprisingly tricky, and it felt satisfying when I figured them out. Plus, it gives the shield more to do besides act as a patriotic boomerang.
Not we. You're going outside where the POWs are waiting. The rest of us will...
You're all going.
Super soldier or not. If you say that again, I'll feed you your teeth.
Going into Captain America Super Soldier, I didn't know what to expect. I knew with the HD one, I was getting I can't believe it's not Arkham Asylum, but with the Wii one, I was going in blind. The previous Wii MCU games did little to impress, but this one surprised me. I think the reason I enjoyed it was because it has its own identity. It takes the stories and ideas of Next Level's title to create a similar yet different experience. This could have been a carbon copy, but it isn't. Yet as much as I want to call this game a hidden gem, I can't because the game is repetitive as hell. When I started the game, I dug the different approach, but after 5 hours of wailing on the same bad guys, traversing the same corridors, and hearing the same villain chatter, that big grin became a melancholic Mona Lisa smile. I think a big reason why is because while the combat is fun, it's shallow. You use the same handful of attacks on the same handful of enemy types. Even the upgrade system is bare bones, consisting of a handful of upgrade variants with different tweaks. The HD version's combat outpaces the Wii one's considerably. It requires you to make the most of countering and blocking. Plus, the focus system has a risk-reward element to it because on hard, focus attacks are the only way to regain health. By comparison, the enemies are less challenging, and the conveniently placed checkpoints means dying isn't as much of a setback.
Well done, Captain. I can only conclude that the super soldier serum has also enhanced your doltish American brain.
Captain America's presentation is solid. It may look cartoony, but this is a nice looking Wii game. I especially dug the fighting animations, particularly the little flourishes added to certain attacks. As neat as it looks, it's a bit glitchy. One time, I couldn't pass through a door until I restarted the level. Another time, I kept phasing through a piece of railing until I restarted from the last checkpoint. The rest of the presentation is good. It uses the same dialogue from the HD game, which means you get solid performances from the movie cast and the actors who voice all the other characters. Not to mention, you get a very heroic soundtrack.
Listen to me. None of us are special. If we win, that'll be why. Because Zola and Skull think they're some kind of master race, and we know we're not. We know no man is more valuable than any other. We know it'll take all of us to stop this evil from spreading. All of us standing together, doing our part.
The best way to describe Captain America's Super Soldier on the Wii is it's like Bucky. He's not as strong as Cap, but he's a resourceful fellow capable of holding his own. High Voltage Software could have taken the low road and made a quick cash grab, but they didn't. It does its own thing while hitting the same beats as Next Level's version. Do I recommend it? Yes. Is the HD version better? Yes. Even though that game has its missteps, it's the better experience. The Wii version comes close, but the lack of variety holds it back. It's a step above previous Wii MCU games, but it's not the Super Soldier it claims to be. Captain America Super Soldier gets a 6 out of 10.